T1 joined your channel leadership session on the server.
So, does that sound good to everyone?
Yes.
Yeah,
Sure does.
sounds great.
I am sorry, Anna joined your channel leadership session on the server.
Dang, that is a lot of TXR guys. There's also a lot of Merc guys.
Law joined your channel
Anything for the
leadership
cause.
session on the server.
I didn't invite
10 for joined your channel leadership
Okay.
session on the server.
Just tie ropes to each other and drag each other around.
Sounds about right. I'll oblige you, Swats.
I think it makes it sort of easier that way. Alright,
Law
so
has been
seeing if
renamed.
I can't seem to start my recording.
I can get it if you want.
Yeah, I'm running right now, so.
Okay, you're up and going changes?
Yep.
Alright, so, yeah, I'll appreciate any, if you hold questions. Like, there will be times that I'll break, and then we can have some
has been
discussion, but
renamed.
for the most part, I'll try and be as brief as I can when going through these points. So, I know a lot of people here probably already lead squads and platoons, so as I said, I don't want to step on toes in terms of stopping you guys from doing what you're doing. But, I'm sort of doing this for some of our guys that lead sometimes, and trying to just get sort of the principles that I have put in practice for many, many years. And I think, starting with the general and then going
Either
into some
changes.
general tactics is a
Yeah, I'm
great thing
streaming
to
that.
start covering today, and making sure that we're sort of uniform across our different outfits in case people join different groups or anything like that. So I think the very first important thing that I would like to say about making sure leadership is important when you're doing squad or running squads is making sure that you have some way of clearing voice channels. I mean, for us, it's we call break or clear comms. I'm not sure how much you guys have difficulty with that, but even we're sort of a chatty crew, so you need to make sure that you can clear your voice channels when it's time to actually lead and give orders. Second major point is if you're going to be leading, you need to give clear orders. Like even the most complex plan, you need to be able to break it down to give the clearest, simplest orders possible. And an important part of leadership is making sure that when you give those orders that you try and repeat yourself, because I don't know about you guys, but we find a lot of people need to hear it twice, maybe 3 times before that they're clear on their orders. And it just helps your guys clue into what exactly is going on if you start to repeat your orders. So those are probably the 3 most important principles of just in terms of the actual mechanics of leading that I discussed. So that's the importance of being able to clear your voice, giving clear orders, and repetition of those orders. Now there's some things in play that we can talk about, which is the importance of speed in your play. Like getting people to move quickly, getting people to move locations quickly, and following your orders quickly. All of this is what you can do to generate some really epic moments in this game, right? And that's, I don't know about you guys, but that's what I look forward to most, is like those times where you're getting back to a base just in time to save hack, or you get into position to farm a bunch of guys because you guys planned your timing just perfectly. An important aspect of that is making sure that people understand the importance of following your orders immediately, and that's, I think, that's a very important thing to impress
received.
upon them, because once they start seeing the importance of that speed, they'll have a lot of fun with this game. Also, in addition, I'm not sure how you guys feel about this, but I think this game is really, really centered around
Message
aggressive
sent.
style play. That means keeping people fighting, keeping people in the action. Obviously, that's what we want in terms of keeping people interested in continuing to play. But it also works as well on a more strategic level, right? If we're continuing a fight, that means we're continuing to push the enemy back and keep them closer to spawn every time. So, as a leader, if you can keep your guys in an active fight, it means everyone should be having a lot more fun, and we're meeting larger strategic goals at the same time as well. And the final thing that I just want to say in general before we have a quick break is the idea of a uniform communication system amongst your own guys, right? Like the way we operate essentially is I clear comms when there's some important information going on. People try their best to report their name and their squad number, their location. So it would be like, and then the cardinal direction from that location that intel's coming from. For instance, if I saw that there's an armor column coming out of, say, Rashnu, I would be like, clear comms, Leplos at Rashnu, Green 3. I spot a Sunderer southwest of Rashnu, just southwest of the platform. Once you try and make sure that everyone sticks to however you set that up, and I do recommend cardinal locations, it's a lot easier to get the information out that you need to a lot quicker, and that allows yourself as a commander to respond to those. And then also it allows you to give clearer directions to everyone. So I imagine a lot of this stuff isn't new to many of you, but I thought I'd just go through those ones in general. In any case, if you guys have any discussion about what you guys do in general, I think this is sort of a good point to discuss any of those things. So anybody have any other tips in terms of, in general, how they run their squads that might vary from those ideas?
I think the name alone isn't necessary. Just calling out your squad number. So a lot of people, it doesn't really matter what your name is. They're going to see it either in the TeamSpeak overlay, or it doesn't really matter. As long as you're giving out the information that there's an enemy in a certain direction, they don't need to know who you are exactly, just what number you are on the map.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing sometimes, is getting people to recognize what number they are too. It's difficult when you use Alpha and Bravo for the capture points too. In fact, also on the death screen too, when you can't see your number, it's hard to figure out what number you are. Actually, that reminds me, that's something I should actually make as a suggestion to fix.
Yeah, I'd have to just expand on what you said. I agree that we should be calling out numbers, and like Alpha 1 or Alpha 2 or Bravo 2 or Charlie 5 or whatever. I think though we should also
Brown implied join your
learn
channel
people's
leadership
names,
session on the
try
server.
to place
Message
voices with
received.
names.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, I run a decent sized outfit, but I still try to learn everyone's name.
Yeah, for sure, and like you generally try and use people's names too, because I mean, it varies on outfit, I'm sure, but you want to keep everyone interested in having fun. So part of leading is being friendly with the people that you're working with, after all. So yeah, that's a very good point.
Some of the problems. Sorry, go ahead, Thought.
Yeah, thanks. Something I usually do before, like, I get my squad or platoon ready, I usually tell them, get familiar with their number real quick, like 5 minutes or so, just to quickly, see who's who, which squad you're in, what number you're in, just keep it in the back of your mind.
Yeah, that's pretty good idea. It's something that we have a tendency not to practice. I usually have to request what number people are when they're telling me where they died and stuff like that. Still, but it's something like most of this advice will be, under ideal conditions only do people follow it, and you've got to be sort of the person reminding people to do these very principles that you want to practice on a common basis.
This is changes from TXR. So when we're running our informal ops, which is usually like weekdays or
TXR
weekends,
join your channel leadership session
other
on
than
the server.
Fridays, we usually just kind of all pile up in a channel and just kind of all talk shit, and and we'll clear comms. But when we have our major ops, organization's really key, and one thing that we found that helps with that is creating different channels for each squad, and for example, like an Alpha channel, Bravo channel, and we all connect to each other via a channel commander. And we all have, all the people that are squad leads are in the channel commander. The platoon lead, which is usually myself or Patty Fathead, will be in a separate command station. And of course we're running probably 70 guys, so it might not apply to some of the smaller outfits, but so me and Tom sit in a command room, and basically Tom is in the TTA war room, and he's communicating, he's passing information to you guys, and passing me information that he
Eternal
receives
has
from
been
you
renamed.
guys. And then I issue my orders to my squad leaders, and then they pass it down. So it's kind of like a chain of command, and that worked for us. With such big numbers, it just becomes really, really hectic, and we just needed to streamline it because people couldn't hear themselves think, and so that's how we kind of countered that little problem.
Operate.
Yeah, that's similar to how the TTA formed in PS1. In fact, before, when TTA and PS1 all were on the server at the same time, and essentially squad leaders, all the squad leaders, regardless of outfit, were on the commander channel and coordinated that way. Generally, the outfit leader or the major outfit leader would be the one talking for the most part for the rest of their squads, but most people would be in there listening at the same time. Now, obviously, I think this game's a little bit bigger in scope, and the breakdown of leadership allows us to do some different things. And I think the way that you propose is a pretty good way for the size of forces that you guys do. So that's really good points.
I'd like to add to that briefly. It does sometimes get confusing as a squad, especially because like I'm in our Spec Ops division, and we generally run separately from the main infantry platoon. So then you've got orders going out to the main infantry platoon that may not apply to you. You've got other squad leaders talking. There's a lot of different voices
I am
going
sorry
on. It
that
can be
you're
hard to
disconnected
separate
from your channel
who is
leadership
talking about
session
who.
from the
But
server.
we've talked about there's an add-on that allows it to be directional. So for example, I could hear people in command channel in my left ear and people in my squad in my right ear. So having something like that does help when you've got multiple different people speaking about multiple different things at the same time.
Yeah, I'm trying to I don't have it right now, but I actually am trying to make a tutorial video how to set up War Room, and the setting up 3D sound is actually one important aspect of it as well, because I am trying to get that video up so that we can have different levels of people come on and start using our War Room at different times. In fact, I'll come back to this point after we're done our tactics discussion a little bit more too. Because I think that's going to be an important aspect that I sort of want to push. Is it, we all have great leaders in our outfits, but unlike what happened in PS1, where there's a CR4 and to a lesser extent CR5, where people work together to get a lot of stuff done, it's actually a lot more difficult in this game to try and make these connections and getting us to working together on a daily basis. Now, obviously, when we do our ops, we run very well together in that, but it's this idea that on a daily basis we should have more connection to that I want to try and promote as well.
Sorry, Atron. That plugin you were talking about is called Crosstalk, and I wholeheartedly recommend it, whether you're in the war room or just doing whisper list in your own squads. It makes hearing command and squad chatter much easier, and especially when you're in the war room.
It ducks the sound.
Nantucket, would you mind typing the name of that in the room?
I will link it for you.
Oh, wonderful! Thank you.
Great. Yeah, I'll look into that one too, because you're definitely looking for ways to make sure everything's
Message
working how
received.
we want it to.
X13X hit
Currently our
mortal
SOP
joined your
is,
channel leadership
command is
session
set
on the
before
server.
anything is said in the command channel.
And Luplos, are you going to have something later on TeamSpeak setup, or can I add what we do now?
Yeah, if you have a quick thing about how you guys run your TeamSpeak, it's certainly one of the most important aspects is communication for leading.
Yeah. We don't use Channel Commander all that often. We have a command and a squad lead, temporary tag we put on people. So if you're squad lead, you put it on, and if we happen to be in different divisions for like air or for armor, you put on command, and then whoever's platoon lead puts on command for them, and you can issue division level orders that way, so there's no crosstalk. And if you happen to be a squad leader, platoon leader can issue orders to the various squad leaders. I think that's something that came up from, I think it was 666, and we co-opted from them. Yeah, I know, but it actually works excessively well.
Quick question about that. Does that require a lot of micromanaging, or can people self-apply those labels?
They can self-apply it. You can apply it for other people too. So if you're platoon lead, often what happens is just the one guy tabs out and sets it for all the squad leads. So it's really easy to use. It's just like Channel Commander. You just have to set up the Whisper List hotkey once.
Interesting. Yeah. So that might be some things to discuss and further. In fact, maybe if I could get a post on that about how you guys do that, it wouldn't be bad necessarily to set up for our guys or see how people do that one.
Yeah, I'm always interested in sharing.
I'll gladly explain how that works when you have time.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely be interested too. But in the hopes of games moving on, is everyone sort of happy with that sort of discussion we've had on sort of general leadership things?
I actually do have a question about the aggressive playstyle that you mentioned. Did you want to go more in depth on that, or is that more for the advanced training topic?
Yeah. Well, Well, let's bring that up. When I'm saying playing aggressively, you got to impart a couple of things. In the leadership way, it means not resting on base captures, things like that. And I am going to bring that up again. But basically keep on pressuring the enemy at their spawns, and don't just simply have a lot of people sitting around waiting for capture. And again, I'm going to bring that up.
That's really going to come into play with the lattice as well.
Yeah, for sure. Which I'm really looking forward to, because I know personally that's our playstyle. But I think everyone will benefit from it, right? Like everyone's in this game for actually not to sit around. But sometimes it's just making sure that people realize that capture points aren't necessarily how they're going to get the most experience. But the second aspect is on an individual basis. You want to make sure that people are pushing. Rather than sitting back. The most commonplace, and I'm sure everyone will groan when they think about this, is at biolabs in a little teleport room. How many people get annoyed when they see their guys or see people just sitting in the biolab teleporter rooms trying to noob tube out of it and not getting any kills and not really doing any good?
Oh yeah.
I've seen that a lot of times.
Yeah, so I think most leadership and most of us will all agree, like that's pretty annoying. You might do it once or twice while you're just waiting for some forces to build up, but you have to impart on people that KD is not really anything in this game.
Those people are KD whores, so.
Yeah, exactly, and then you just got to impart to your own membership and to get over the fear of dying in this game.
Hell, I'm a KD whore and I run out that room as soon as I get in it. Fuck staying in there, you ain't getting no kills sitting in there.
Exactly, right? So you got to promote these ideas, like definitely during your operations, but the more you promote it and remind people of it, even if you're not on an op night, the more that you'll benefit as a whole group. So
yeah, but that comes into play like when you can make that move. A lot of us are running smaller outfits and squads and stuff, and in a sense you really can't do that, or it's too stupid to do that with the forces you have. If we're going to be hitting something like biolabs, we need to do it as, a large group, a large force. If the NC are held up, we need to do a breach, and we need to breach it with 30 plus maxes and a shitload of CC, cons, splashes, smoke.
Yeah, and those specific tactics we can talk about too, because that's something that we're going to come to, and that also speaks to what another general point is the thing about speed, right? Like if you impart a people with the importance of speed, the idea that they need to do things together, but then they also need to do it quickly, it creates the moments that are, as I said, epic. Because think of the difference between taking 10 minutes to set up a max crash or being able to do that in 1 minute. 10 minutes to set it up means that the enemy has time to push back against your forces that aren't there, whereas 1 minute they've been pushed back and they might get a quick breather, but once you're on them again, they would not expect you to be able to be that organized that quickly. So that's something I definitely try to push for, and particularly if you remind people that the more, when you're running a squad, the more that you're waiting for people, or one person or two people, that you have a lot of other people that are waiting on them too. So a lot of people play this for the community aspect. And once they realize that, sometimes when they're going out there and doing their own thing during an off time, that they're actually slowing other people down, and you have to make them realize that sometimes that is the case.
I got a question on the morale, or how do you manage morale on TeamSpeak communication? For example, when everyone's got an opinion about biolabs, but when you're facing an opponent that's extremely well dug in, first, second, third max crash doesn't work, people are starting to lose interest. Where do you draw the line where the commander obviously wants to keep going, take the facility, versus people who are losing morale, want a ninja log, or starting to wander off and do their own thing?
Yeah, I mean that's the most difficult aspect of gameplay is like when you are facing. I mean, there are times obviously where you're going to be defeated, right? And you have to accept that. You can be like, okay, well that time they had more of a force, or they're just better set up at that point in time. But we have a chance to reorganize. Like there's always have a fallback position eventually, right? Like. If you see the battle going south, prepare a plan to have an exit strategy, right? Like if say at Biolab, you're starting to lose containment on. Well, the first thing you know when you start to lose containment on is they're going to just be pushing those pads and trying to push out the bottom. There's two things you can basically do to maintain that fight, even if you're losing inside. That can be fun to do. You can crash the bottom with a gate shield diffuser, prevent them from getting tanks out. And then you can get some libs up and air up and prevent them from getting out of pads. And once they do that, right, like they're no longer getting farmed inside, they're getting kills on the outside, and they're also preventing the enemy from doing anything else, turning the situation around so that the enemy is the one getting farmed, and your guys are the ones getting the kills. And that's actually one of the points I was going to talk about in the tactics section a little bit too. The idea of having a plan for when you lose containment on a facility, like when the facility starts to fall and there's nothing you can do. For instance, if you're on a defensive, there comes a point where it's clear you're going to lose the base, right? And there's two options that you can do. You can stick around and continue to throw infantry members at the SCU room to try and save it, which it sometimes works, and I do like doing those times too. But sometimes you have to make another plan to try and get that base back, right? It might be recalling some of your troops to go and deal with the sub bases or the surrounding bases. And again, this is stuff that I'm going to actually come to in the tactics discussion.
Okay.
Can I elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah,
a lot of things we do as smaller squads. I mean, we run 2 squads usually. But if a biolab gets too bad, we do something where we can be effective there. And, it's not go and guard a satellite. We'll do a hey Kool-Aid is what we like to call it. We get in a couple shield diffuser Sundays and we roll into the bottom and we hold that too and farm them nonstop. And eventually, I mean, 2 squads can do this fairly well. And eventually they send down a lot of people. And you're drawing enough people down there, you open up a window of opportunity for the people up top. You can do the same thing at tech plants. We always drop on the gun deck at tech plants. Hold that son of a bitch down. If it's completely overrun, 2 squads can drop on top. Farm for an hour or 2. You can be effective, but you just, you got to find those windows of opportunity.
Yeah, and in fact, to go back to the initial question about what do you do in that case is, I think leaders also have to realize when their members are getting annoyed at a facility such as a biolab fight, and realize that there's more than one way to capture a base rather than just taking it over directly, right? If you gain all the influence in the surrounding areas, and then also if you push other bases while they're overextending their forces in a biolab, you can literally take most of the continent. At night, late at night, you can see that whatever 2 forces are contained at one fight in a biolab, the third empire can essentially take the rest of the continent because these 2 forces are overextending their entire army in one location instead of worrying about territory control. And this has happened to us actually on operations night. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but in our second joint operations, we got engaged at Aladdin for hours and hours before we took Indar. I think this was the last time we took Indar. And essentially what happened with the NC there is while they were there, we essentially captured all of the surrounding bases and pretty much rest of the continent except for that base. And then we just had to, then at that point, we had all of our other forces that took over the rest of the continent came back in and won that base. So in that way, I want to impress upon commanders that, you might not always be able to take a facility with numbers alone, and that sometimes putting in another strategy, and I don't mean simply backcapping or something like that, but putting some of your members to other uses than being frustrated at a biolab could be a very important aspect of that strategy.
Also, if I may comment on the bit about morale, the best way to get the morale of the outfit to keep fighting is proven success. If you have and especially during that play session, have successfully defended or successfully capped multiple territories, your men will be more willing to lay down their life for you. And also listening to individual members, I mean, lay down their, they're
They're
dying.
chunks.
Yeah, they'll, fight for you better.
Lay down
They'll
their
pull
KD
armor.
for you.
Yeah, they'll lay down their KD. They'll pull resources and stuff. But also listening to them. If you say, okay, everyone load up in a gal, and one guy's like, well, I'm gonna go in a flash. Okay. Listen to the individual members. If they say like, oh, we can get to Aladdin in time for this cap rather than fighting at this territory, be like, okay, well, I'll go there and do it successfully. So as long as something eventful is happening in your favor, you will constantly have everyone's morale.
Yeah, those are very good points. Like, definitely listen to your membership. Right? You want to keep. You can't keep everyone happy, and that your decisions will be your own. But gauge the mood that everybody's in is essentially it, right? Like, you're half giving orders, but you're half listening to other people.
And I know it can get stressful platoon leading, but one of the biggest morale killers during a very serious ops is pretty much being like, order stand, do what I say, I'm platoon leader. I mean, yeah, you want what you want to get done, but it'll discourage outfit members, and they'll be put off by it. And ultimately, they may just play another game. They may go to another continent and say, just screw it. So it's really important to just take to heart what outfit members say.
Yeah, for sure. That's another very good point. I think. One second. I had another point, but I just lost it.
Oh, I'll say, I mean, it might be fairly obvious, but I mean, talking. I mean, just say, hey guys, good fight so far, let's keep it up, so on and so forth. Be communicative. I tend to think out loud when I squad lead and say, like, look, I'm thinking we're going to try this, and if this doesn't work, then try this. So, like, if people know what you're thinking as a commander, if you don't say anything, then they're like, this guy is just not paying attention, or like, he doesn't know what he's doing. Well, actually, most of my guys think I don't know what I'm doing anyway. But, I mean, if you, like, think out loud and people kind of understand why you're doing what you're doing, then I find people tend to be more responsive to orders.
Yeah, and I think the other thing I would want to say is about people losing morale at a base is you have to keep things interesting. You can't say, let's keep on max charging this one location in the same way every time. Like, try different things. Like, I mean, get people doing different things so that they stay interested. Like, like, none of them may work, but if they're doing different things, it's still exciting, right? Like, one time you might try a max assault, next time you might do light assaults, or rush in with a medic ball, or go down to the base, or change your focus to containment using vehicles on the outside, or have half of your squad go take surrounding bases. Like, the purpose is to get people engaged in doing different aspects of the fight. And I think if you do that, you'll keep people interested, even if you're still losing the fight. So I think that's a
question
pretty good discussion.
I asked the whole question about morale because I'm in charge of organizing all of TXR armor division stuff,
This
and
log is connected from your channel.
there's
Leadership
times
session
during
from the
a
server.
Friday night ops when we're organizing with TTA where overall High Command's general plan is we need to take this facility, but fight's not really going too well, and my tankers get bored, or people just get really frustrated that we're just not taking it. But orders are orders, so how can I improve their morale?
Yeah. I mean, I can't speak to your organization in terms of how you split up your armored division, but I can tell you that even with our small squad, there are times where I get part of our guys starting to do something different, even if we're engaged at one location. Like, you'll find like one of our members or two of our members at a lot of bases resecuring things when it's just one or two members that need to go back, or I'll get a couple of people to basically do something else. Now with an armor force, if you find yourself not in doing much at a singular location, you could easily apply those forces. In my opinion, you could apply those forces to other bases and start putting pressure on them at different locations. Obviously, if it's the final holdout at a base, keep the pressure on. If it's like Isa on Azamir or something like that, and there's a reason to do it. Definitely, it's going to be difficult if it's like a even battle or you're slightly losing to keep people interested. But keep people moving.
Message
even if
received.
it's not. Honestly, if it's not doing anything, keep people moving. I think you'll try and keep people's interest that way. And Glacia, why don't you go ahead?
The thing about platoon lead and squad lead is that the platoon lead generally picks a place to attack, and the squad lead should be leading the squad. And when people say that the platoon lead don't have enough time to play the game, like they're always looking at the map, right? You know, just suggest your squad leaders to start acting up. And
Message
they're there
received.
for a reason. The platoon leader shouldn't be the one micromanaging at all.
Okay. So was there any other questions? I think I saw a jump test.
Yes, I'm not sure if we're going to be covering this tonight, but occasionally when I lead a squad and say we use galaxies, is there a way to have the squad organized better so that we can increase load up speed? I mean, if you're trying to get to a base prior to cap and it takes a minute and a half or a minute to get everyone in there.
I can answer that one.
A redeploy does take normally 20 seconds.
Well,
cooldown
I'm the Tom from TXR leader of Spec Ops, and what do I adamantly do is crucial for
Webma,
redeploy.
Bonnie joined your
With Spec
channel
Ops, we
leadership
do
session
hit and
on the
runs all the
server.
time, and I need my guys on redeploy in like a split second. So when I tell them we got to redeploy at the warp gate, we're pulling a galaxy. I already nominate someone to pull a galaxy beforehand. I tell everybody to do /type suicide. You type in /suicide, you instantly respawn at the warp gate, and I've actually clocked it. When we start Spec Ops, I wanted everybody redeployed within 30 seconds. I think my co-leader Pencil can say it's been about 20 seconds now by the time I say everybody redeploy /suicide. Everybody does it. If one guy's holding up the main squad, it's affecting the 11 other guys that want to get redeployed into the action. So if you type in /suicide, get all your guys to do the same thing, you see the redeployment is cut in half. It's way faster.
Yeah, I'll say another suggestion that works for Spec Ops as well. If you're in the field and you're not redeploying to Warp Gate, if you're in the sort of downtime while the point is flipping and you're ready to move out to the next place, put your waypoint down where you want the galaxy to land, so everybody knows exactly where they're going to run to as soon as it's time to get in. Because we found that one of the biggest time killers for Spec Ops was when it's time to load back in, all the galaxies in the air, we don't know where it's going to land yet, everybody's kind of running around crazy, you know. People should know exactly where they're going to go as soon as that A point is like 80% done.
Yeah, and there's this is actually something I was going to bring up, which is sometimes you have to leave a person behind. Like, it's going to happen. You know, there's some people might go AFK. You can't wait for like 3 minutes for an AFKer to come back from what they're doing. There's so many easy ways to fast travel in this game that unless it's a drop that you need absolutely all your forces for, you should be ready to move without some people. So that's the other thing. And you let them know, like, you let people know that, like what you were saying about the 30 seconds. Like, I try and keep people aware of my time frame for moving out, where I'm like, I'll say, like, we're moving in 30 seconds from Warp Gate, or we're moving in a minute from this location. I feel like that imparts the importance of people doing things quickly and getting to follow your orders in time.
Alright, thank you. That about sums it up.
Cool. Alright, so why don't we, unless no one else has, or anyone else has something that they really want to discuss, why don't we just start talking about some general tactics, and then we can start talking about specific tactics that we all do. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So I guess I have to start with basically what has been our mantra since PS1 days in Mercenaries, which is assume no one will do what it needs to be done, right? Like, no offense, guys, but we just assume that if there's a back hack, nobody's going to be there for it unless we get there. If there's one sender, we're going to assume that no one's going to pull another sender up in time. If there's air overhead, we assume we're going to be the ones having to pull AA. And so forth, so on. And, you know, this is particularly important. I mean, I can't tell you, particularly late at night, how many times we see issues with this, you know, where we're late at night, we're the guys pulling AA for a small Zerg, or bringing the
Guys,
senders
focus on
up.
that vehicle shield generator on the southwest side.
What are you doing?
Boys, wrong channel.
Boys.
Oh, damn,
Well, that's a great outfit.
Sorry about
Guys,
Yeah,
why aren't you getting the shield door generator?
He is
I'm
just
sorry,
giving us an
I'm not
example
there
of.
yet.
Yeah, damn it, boys.
He's just giving us an example of effective
Think
leading.
outside the
That's
box,
it.
man. Come on.
I want you all to know that I actually am getting the steel generator right now.
Oh, God.
Awesome.
I hope
Okay, yeah,
someone
so
had this recorded.
Yeah.
Shut your whore mouth.
It is being recorded.
Yeah, it is. So as I was saying, you know, you can't assume that some other group or other outfit will do it unless we're in communication with another, right? So like, be the first person. Tell your guys to be that first person grabbing the burster max, or grabbing the sunder that you need, or going back and giving you recon on a back base if they need help there or something like that. You know,
Message
don't be
received.
afraid to send one person
Message
that
received.
you can trust to go and do
Message
these kinds
received.
of things. You know, you want to make sure that all these things get done, and you just can't necessarily trust the random people around you. And now, obviously, we're here because we work together. So basically the opposite of this that I want to try and promote too, is that we need to be communicating more often, because you know, as we go on in communications, or what works so well about Fridays and we can do on a more common basis, is we can basically ask each other, be like, hey, we're gonna go here, and we have the Sunderers, can you guys bring in AA? Like requests like that, where part of our groups are doing one aspect of the knowing aspect of fights, or we can ask one another what's going on. I think this is an important way that our outfits and groups can work together. I mean, definitely with back bases, for instance, right? Like if one base is being captured behind us, if we have a means to communicate if anyone's going back there to deal with it, it means we don't have to over-apply our forces. And that's actually the next topic that I wanted to discuss, which is the tendency for people, particularly during non-operation time, to send way too large of a force to deal with way too small of a force. And I'm not saying it happens to all of us, but in general, I just want to make sure that we select forces that are of appropriate size for the task at hand. I can't tell you how much it frustrates me when I see platoons size TR forces going up against enemies detected one base at a time. And this just happened the other night. It wasn't any of your outfits. I know who it was, but I'm not going to say who it was that did this, where they basically did Crimson Bluff, NS Material Storage, Howling Pass, Abandoned NS Materials, the NS Refinery, and then finally Mao. And the whole time they are only facing VS enemies detected. Easily that job could have been done so much quicker if they applied their forces in the correct way, right? Like if you can split your forces and be sort of versatile, and making sure you're not just like literally that's a Zerg at that point, when you're bringing platoon level forces to enemies detected. If we over apply our forces like that and we're not seeing much of a fight, essentially what we're doing is removing effective fighting force from the game. Particularly from our side, and so that's certainly an aspect of tactics and strategy that I think we as leaders should be aware of. You know, like I think nobody likes to sit around, but people will have a tendency to do that.
Message received.
One
TTA
aspect
joined your
of
channel
that,
leadership session
though,
on the server.
Is to talk about
Message received.
sitting around on capture. Now, obviously, we all like capture points, but I found that there are some people that like capture points, and there's other people that like a fight. So I'm sure it's different in all of your groups, but if you can try to impart on people the importance of not simply walking around and doing nothing while a base is being captured. You know, even if you're going to stay within the SOI, there's different things you can do. You can make sure that everything is, mined up in all the entrances. You can make sure all the sub bases are captured. You can prepare, as we were talking about before, prepare your forces to move out immediately. You know, give them the orders that are going to happen next. Like, even if you're a minute away from capture, you can be like, you can tell people where to go for pickup. You can tell people what you're going to be pulling and where you're going. You can do all that stuff well before capture finishes. Sorry, Jump Nuts, you had a quick question?
It's low priority. I was just letting you know.
Okay. So yeah, I'll just say that about captures. I mean, I'm sure most people, again, with over application of force, you know, when you have 2 or 3 platoons waiting at like one facility for capture, you don't want to lose the momentum of that size of a force. You want to keep them moving, because if you can keep that force rolling over to the next location almost immediately, or even before capture, it keeps the enemy on their heels and prevents them from setting up a decent defense against that size of force. And if you get people to do this on a common basis to make it regular practice, it means that even in their regular play, we'll start to see people move quicker, move base to base, and when people move quicker, we get, as I said, the more epic moments, but also more action.
Message received.
And again, if we have more action, that means we're doing a
Message
good thing.
received.
And go ahead. You want to go? Was that Nantucket first?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One good thing that we've discovered for base captures, this is very specific for like at Havar or Aladum. If you're winding your way through, like you're halfway or 3/4 of the way through the capture, and you've got a nice armor squad or air squad going, 1 and 2 hex away, works really well. Start sending them down to, you know, West Highland. Start sending them down to. Point is, start sending them out, pushing up, pushing them out. You know, you have lookouts in case they start infantry zerging back up. You can squash that. Gives them something to do, keeps them interested, gives you eyes. We found that works really well.
Yeah, and not just to add to that too. I mean, quite honestly, that's a good way to get a lot of kills too. Is when you go to the next location, they're not suspecting a force to be there, and then you just demolish them. So, yeah. And then, Chrono, you had a question?
Yeah. Hi, guys. This is Chrono from Iron Fist. Recently, we've been adopting kind of a sort of new strategy. The way we run our operations right now is Alpha Bravo, our infantry, Charlie is armor, Delta is air. Bravo will sometimes accompany Charlie in vehicles used in transportation. Basically, we've been trying this new thing. I guess we learned from 666, if I'm correct. Galaxy Gunship. Bringing that in as kind of a serious way to support the ground troops. Just wanted to get some thoughts on that from anybody here who has used it effectively. We've been trying to use it. Unfortunately, it does take away 4 infantry, and unfortunately we also don't have the numbers that we'd like to have to kind of do this very often. So I don't know how effectively you guys have used it, if it would be necessary almost during an operation, or what.
You gotta get the grenade launchers and the flat cannon.
Yeah, Chrono. I was doing it today actually. I had a pilot in TXR that was gunning or driving the gal, and I was just the only gunner, and I switched. Actually, me and another guy, and I switched between the force spot and the fifth spot. He had bulldogs on his Galaxy, and every time a Reaver or Scythe came on our 6, I just switched to the other flanking position with the gunner, and we were just taking them, mowing them down. It was actually good for being a gunship. He was going in like a circular motion around the base, and every time the infantry poured out, I would just light them up with the bulldog. So it is an effective vehicle to use if used properly with a good gunner and a good driver.
I'd just like to add to this. It's that tactic is particularly good for smaller bases and smaller base resecures where they're not likely to have a significant amount of AA or air cover presence. And you know, as you said, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to take like 4 or 5 guys. As you said, you know, 2 guys or maybe 3 guys in total could use it effectively. But go ahead.
I was going to say that we've been using the bulldog. We haven't stuck with the stock weapons. That would just be suicide. I mean, we've also had air squad kind of cover them. I'm kind of liquid when it comes to my operations. I work every side of the battle. So this time around, I was just flying around a Mosquito, and although we did have 4 people in the Galaxy, I did notice how if we had, you know, maybe 2 people less or whatever, we would have had at least the Mosquitoes covering the 6 of the Galaxy, and it could have been used mainly just for ground support. So I'll definitely take that into consideration, something that we haven't considered yet. So thanks for the input, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Jump test while we're sort of asking questions. Go ahead on yours.
Going back to your earlier point about determining what roles we be playing at an individual base, considering say we had no information, what would be the best way to receive information about what their sort of air cover or anti-air is at that specific location?
yeah, like how best to find out. Honestly, you know, we have people in our squad try and tell us best. That's basically how we operate right now. As I
Message
said,
received.
our communication between people, yeah, command chat sometimes can get you, but I got to be honest, right now between outfits and between squads, there doesn't seem to be a significant amount of communication. This is something that I'm going to try and, as I said, we'll talk about this in a bit, but I'm going to try and push for more connections between our groups, and so that we'll have the capabilities to come and discuss that. But there are definitely going to be times where you're going to be in the dark about what you're going to face and what's going to happen ahead, and you're just going to have to take one of your guys and get recon that way, or find out on the fly.
All right, thank you.
This is Watts from TXR. About the whole finding out, the AA situation. I find myself using flashes a lot, even with new backseats. Those are easy to get around defenses and quickly get to other places quickly without getting noticed, even with the new wraith system. So sending one guy ahead before where the galaxy would go also might be key. One guy can just quickly sneak around, find out what's up, and get out.
Yeah, exactly. And recon is a very important thing. Having information tells you a whole lot more, or it allows you to make a lot better plans than not having any information. Right? It decreases the fog of war, or gives you the tools that you need to, the information you need to know in order to make the decisions that are best for your squad. So definitely, the more information you can have, the better. And that's definitely one of the aspects that we should be doing and sharing when we're trying to work together. Definitely during operations time, for sure too. So why don't I get back a little bit to some more of the general tactics, and then we can discuss, go through more discussion and get into specific tactics if everyone wants.
More folks join your channel leadership session.
So
on the
we just covered not simply sitting on capture and not over applying the forces that you have, and try and get people used to that on a regular basis, even if it's not off time. The next thing I'd try and impart to people is, I'm sure you guys know, but for the sake of saying it, influence is very important. And if you can impart that on your members, at least in the current version of the game, influence is very important, because it can mean the difference between capturing a biolab or being engaged at an hour-long fight that you're going to lose if you don't maintain influence over that biolab. And again, this goes to my first point in this section, which is assume nobody will do what needs to be done. Right, so if we need that 100% influence on Aladdin, don't assume that anybody else is going to capture those sub-bases, right? I've seen a lot of attacks at TR, and again, it happens generally late at night or during the day, where people don't build up any influence on a base, and even if it's capturing to an empty force, right? Like they'll have a whole platoon capturing an empty base with no influence, or essentially no influence, and that speaks to my previous point about over application of force, and also to the first point about assuming nobody's going to do what needs to be done. You need to recognize as a leader the strategy, or the overall strategic map. You need to be looking at that, and you need to be assuming that unless you're in contact with somebody, that you're not going to have any help in doing those things. And when you can capture facilities faster through capturing the sub bases,
no, we're still in it, Desi.
That gets done, or at least that's my opinion. And of course, controlling spawn, and the other part of this is you want to control spawn points, right? As well, and the sub bases and holding down SEUs are the ways that you do it at a facility. You need to make sure that those sub bases, once you lose a sub base, that somebody's going to go check that out, or you find out if somebody is checking it out, because as soon as you lose one sub base, even if you get the SEU down, they have another avenue that they can reinforce that facility with, and that is quite honestly something you do not want to happen. One of the other things I would like to say is just the idea of keeping containment, as well, as I was saying earlier, is eventually you do lose, in some cases you do lose your ability to attack a base. But you can really prevent significant losses if you, instead of just continuing to
Tech
sort of
disconnected from your channel.
beat your
Leadership
head against the
session
wall,
from
if
the
you make
server.
a new plan to grab your vehicles, group up, and come back in force, because that strike of having vehicles come back to like a biolab or a tech plant all of a sudden can overwhelm an enemy force that is just zerging out, is not organized, and is just using their mass, their numbers to push out of the base, right? Like if you come back all at once with enough vehicles, you have that possibility to absolutely farm their numbers and control the outside of the base with smaller numbers. And that's something you should be looking at doing if you're starting to realize that containment on the enemy forces is really starting to go. And so when you combine all these things, you know, like the idea of being clear and repetitive in your orders, imparting the importance of speed and aggression, as well as not over applying your forces, and making sure that you're willing to reinforce or retreat and reattack.
X13
I think
X
there's a
left
lot
your
of things
channel
that
and
squad
switch
leaders can
to
do
Alpha
to keep
squad
people
on the server.
both moving quickly, having fun, and even enjoying the fights that they might end up losing. So I think in general tactics, I'll probably stop that one there. So if there's any other questions about that, or comments that people have that they want to bring up to you, this is a good time.
I'd like to propose a general rule of thumb for anyone who pulls armor. Total recoil as it is. I enforce in anyone who pulls tanks in our outfit, they follow some general rules of thumb, like staying on one side of the road, like extremely one side of the road, not just in a lane. Not only to avoid any tank lines that might be in the middle of the road, but also, you know, when you get to a main facility and the shields are up, or, you know, you're just waiting in the main facility, keeping your majority of your armor on the side of the road frees up a lot of space for allies or pubbies to pass through, and it doesn't congest the platoon or the Zerg as much.
Also, take back roads and stay off roads pretty much in general. And if you're flying a Galaxy, try and fly extremely low. Go under those canyon arches, just really low. You'll stay below radar because they're looking up in the air. They're not looking toward the ground.
Yeah, with HFA, when we pull armor, we're doing a little armor column or something. We usually try to get 2 lines going for tanks, and we usually have
Message
Prowlers up
received.
front, Lightnings behind them, and then Sunders last. That way, in case there are tank mines or something, it's not the Sunders getting taken out immediately. And that way it also kind of helps keep our lines straight when we're going down the more narrow roads.
I'd just like to see more, you know, organization with armor on the roads, because as is, it seems like, you know, when we're having to attack a really heavily fortified position with huge amount of forces and we finally get in there, it takes us forever to mobilize and get out because the roads are all blocked up because, you know, people are just parked right there in the middle of the road.
Shoot them.
That's something I've been working with my guys to try to get their tanks off of the road when they get out of their vehicles or whatever. They have to stop and shoot to get to the side of the road. And when we get inside like a big base or something and they can't use their tanks, I tell them that I try to keep them off the road, off the main area, and then afterwards we try to form up outside of that base, usually out of the way. But yeah, of course, there's always going to be a couple of idiots who don't know what they're doing, and that usually is all it takes is a couple of idiots that cause a traffic jam.
I think we should do lightnings, like giant lightning columns, because you can
For what?
cap points very quickly.
Lightnings have its usage, but I don't know. I don't utilize lightnings generally in armor columns, except for as sky guards, to be honest.
And even now, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say it's generally with TXR, we like to have our tanks with the Racer 3, just because it does give you that 70 kph, and that's basically as fast as a stock lightning.
And actually, as you're saying that, if I can actually just jump in, You might remember my point about being aggressive play is rewarded in this game. The same is true of tanks. Like, you know, I've got to be honest, I'm a bit of a sniping prowler, and I would not promote that gameplay for everyone. You know, but I definitely, even in my sniping prowler, what I have to say is I get up on the enemy lines quite often to do that, and the prowler in armor in general is most effective at destroying enemies and enemy tank lines if you use it in an aggressive manner. Right, you have to be willing to lose your tank if you want to get some of the best kills.
I'll be honest with you, Leplos, I don't necessarily think that's the best usage for the Prowler. The Prowler really is only good at distances. If you try to bring, I think this is when if you start bringing in the lightning into play, it might actually be pretty decent. But
well, I mean that's it's a function of how you run your columns. If you have everyone with like bunker 4, then definitely I can see like sitting back. But the problem with being a sitting target and having a lot of your tanks remaining in the back lines is that you have nothing pushing up, and you have nothing that is engaging their ability to pull back and repair. Like that's an important aspect of tank columns. We have the fastest tank, right? We have the most mobile tank with not agility, but we have the fastest tank, and that allows us to push up and keep the pressure on in ways that their tanks cannot.
Oh, I do agree that our tanks can push pretty hard. It's just they're a little bit easier to take out.
Well, my opinion
from closer ranges.
In my opinion, I see prowlers as the defensive tanks. That's why they usually deploy, because they can't move. Once you do that, you're basically your tanks is capable of shooting pretty fast, of course. You know, everybody knows this, but the way I see prowlers, they're basically made for roadblocks, right? You sit them there, they're very deadly. As long as you have maybe a tank column there deployed and everything, there's nothing that could go through that unless there's a massive enemy air fleet. As for a prowler attacking a base or doing a blitzkrieg, it's kind of difficult because it's not really that strong. Especially when you're traveling pretty fast, if you just hit a vanguard with one shot, it's not gonna do as much. Unless you get 2 hits on it, but that's the way I see the prowlers.
The trick, or what the beauty of our tank is, you're right. You know, we can sit back and we can bombard the enemy, and what this allows us to do is actually pretty advanced maneuvers with our tanks. We can use it as a pinning force to pin their armor to engage our long-range tanks. But you know, if you're large enough and you have a good enough tank force, you have even on a 2-person, you know, me and Warbird do this quite often, or often enough that it's very useful. Which is one of our tanks will be the one taking fire and covering fire from afar, and you have a second tank that does flanking maneuvers. And our tanks are perfect for this combined strategy, right? It's very fast, and with the Vulcan cannon and the proper setup, mine guard and flares, it's actually a very, very effective forward tank as well.
Right. You actually use the Vulcan?
Oh my god, yes.
Oh, it is
Vulcan's mandatory and
do you even Vulcan?
Okay, so here's the deal. If you're going to be doing a sniping prowler, which I mean it has its place, but I don't think
it's not the only way.
Right, exactly, and I don't think it's what the prowler is actually set up for. So I look at the prowler and I see two schools of thought on it. You've got the one that's a fast attack ground vehicle, and it's the fastest tank. So in order to utilize its strength, you have to get up on the enemy. And whether that means running directly at them, I don't know if it really means running directly at them, because we never do that. We'll flank them. We'll come around behind them. For instance, if they're at crossroads and they're pushing on you and you're coming from the west, then go around through a pass through Broken Arch. You can take the road around and you can come up behind them. Jax Blake and I do that quite a bit, or did that quite a bit when we held the Southwest Warp Gate. In about an hour, we managed to score about 25 Mag Rider kills, plus 10 Sunders, plus 10 Lightnings. It is an extremely effective weapon, and if you are able to flank your enemy, even say you have 2 Prowlers versus 1 Vanguard, if you have 2 Prowlers going on opposite sides of the Vanguard, they have to turn to engage 1. Same with the Mag Rider, and they literally have to turn to engage 1 and gives an ass shot to the other one. So that's an incredibly good tool for flanking your enemy. Meanwhile, the sniping prowler is okay, but with the trajectory on the Vanguard's heat cannon, as well as the Mag Rider's guns in general,
TXR Toaster
you're gonna
Open
die.
disconnected
In a
from your
sniping
channel.
battle, you're
Leadership
going to die.
session from the server.
I would just like to point out, Warbird, I was watching some hostile stream, and they literally laughed when a prowler locked down in front of him, and then they murdered his face. They laughed at him, literally.
Oh, I mean, it's quite simple. Like, it forces us into a single position that we cannot turn and cannot do anything. And it's only going to get worse, guys, now that they've come out with Empire-specific launchers. You know, now we have the Phoenix that can hit us from cover if we're locked down, and we have the Lancer, which can charge up and hit us instantly when it comes out of cover and just pops us. So our days of locking down wherever we want will be limited. Obviously, I'm still going to do it. I'm a lockdown prowler personally. But we have to be applying more advanced techniques to our tanks, I think, if we want to do really, really well in tank column setups.
Total Recoil mandates that every prowler be a sniping prowler AP turret with a Vulcan, and we've had many a Friday night op with the TTA where we have had only 3 prowlers and an ammo Sunday hold off 3 to 4 platoons easy.
Yeah, I'm not discounting.
I mean, if you, yeah,
the strength of it. I'm just saying that there's a lot more to this tank that we don't give it credit for.
I don't think you should be charging a tank up close or attempting to flank up close where they can even see you, because that's just bad tanking. You need to be shelling them from long range. You have a cannon for long range. I mean, that's the whole racial, factional, you know, specific thing to the Prowler, is that it's got a big cannon that can throw the most shells downrange faster than any other tank.
I mean,
I guess this is the two schools of thought that we were talking about.
Yeah, it is.
They both apply.
You've got one group that says, hey, we use snipers quite a bit for our tanks, and you've got another group that says, well, at that range you're going to lose.
Most importantly, one thing I know that 666 do that I'm not sure that any of us do yet is they will walk their infantry to the sides of their tanks, and they will have their air come up behind our tanks as they're pinning us down and shoot us in the ass. And that's something we all need to work on, is having our air flank them from behind and take their tanks out while we're pinning them down. We need to work on mixed tactics between our infantry, our armor, and our air. That's very important, regardless of whether it's sniper or sniping, sniping or you know, flanking.
That actually leads us into another advanced tactics discussion that we're going to have here shortly, I believe. I guess, Lep, do you want me to go into the TTA air thing? Or do you want to wait on that?
Well, while we hold on that one for a short while, but I mean, basically, we can't be a one-trick pony. No matter, you know, like, I know Warbird does the close-in one. I do the sniping one. But what makes it work really well is we adapt to the situation. Sometimes mine with the AP is godly, but other times it's a piece of shit because they know where I am. You know, I have to take cover. There's not a lot of cover to do that. Or quite honestly, it's better suited for a flanking maneuver. I mean, if you talk about maneuver and cavalry maneuvers in general, I imagine that, you know, maintaining or the flanking maneuvers and coming from different angles of attack is one of the best ways to destroy an enemy force that is engaged. And that's true of armor, but it's also going to be true of any tactics we can discuss with assaulting a base or even from air, right? If you can pin down a force with suppressing fire or engage them in one location, and then you bring in a second force from a different angle of attack, you will catch them by surprise, and you will force them to turn their backs to that first force. And once you do that, you have the ability of both of your forces full bore, reducing their ability to find cover, and you're able to do a lot more with both of your forces that way. Everyone sort of knows that tactic. I'm sure you guys apply it a lot, but you know, it's one of the most important things you can do, and you can part this to a very small degree. Even 2 people going into a base can do a lot more if they're working in tandem using this technique. You know, if you have a fire team of even just 2 people, one person firing, trying to get the person under cover, and the other person flanks that guy that's hiding around the corner, your ability to kill those people will increase so much more if you impart that kind of knowledge onto them.
Grab him in the nose, kick him in the ass.
Actually, there's a lot to that.
Yeah,
no, that's the old way it was said by
General Patton.
Yep.
Message received.
So I mean that's something that we need to get people thinking about on a common basis. So right, like that importance that we cannot simply remain in one location, and we have to find the different avenues for attack. I can't tell you how many times in the north, when we were back in the north and VS were in the south, that we lost an assault on Havar because people just went to the northeastern gate and the VS would grab their tanks from southeastern gate and come and flank us, and nobody would engage this force. Like we need to be aware of when we're getting flanked, but ideally we're going to be the ones pressuring them with an aggressive playstyle and doing the flanking ourselves. And definitely staying back with our prowlers and sniping is an important aspect of pinning them down, but I do not want to discredit how good the prowler is at flanking.
Well, that would even work better if we had a team of prowlers pinning them down and another team being the fastest main battle tank charging around to flank.
Yeah, precisely. In fact, I mean, you can use the lightning in a similar way.
Oh yeah.
An AP lightning. If you have people that do that, that's also a good way. They're low profile, great for that as well. But yeah, the main battle tank flanking maneuvers are insane that you can do with the prowler. So the possibilities are there for both, and I think if we use it as the versatile platform that it is, you'll see the most success. Did you want to go into discussing things about like the air wing or that, Warbird, now?
A little bit. I kind of wanted to touch on the prowler thing as well. A lot of times we'll see, if we're assaulting like a tower, something like that, we'll see a lot of prowlers sitting there taking shots because they know exactly where you are. They only expect you to come from that direction. But sometimes when mercenaries and TTA, the guys we run with every day in our platoon, we pull tanks and we'll rush them right into a tower. And the reason we do that is because I've noticed a couple of things. The first goes back to what Leplos is talking with aggressive playstyle. If you make them scared of you, I mean, it's hard to be scared in this game because you don't actually die. You don't lose anything for dying. But the reason that they're going to be a little bit tentative is because when you make that push, they usually lose the base shortly thereafter. So the second part is after your aggressive playstyle, you need to disrupt their forces, and that's usually the only way that you'll stop them. And force disruption deals with things like making sure that they're responding to somewhere else, and then you push them with the main force. You get them off kilter, and then you can push them down. The main thing I want to talk about with force disruption is usually the sunders. If you take away their sunders often, it throws them into disarray. And a lot of times they won't be able to recover if they're on offense. Sometimes when they're on defense, they can just turtle up in the tower. And that's when you move your armor force up. A lot of times I'll see where we push on one, we give them a little nudge in an area, and our line doesn't move. And so our entire push was kind of for nothing because we're not getting people to move up at the right time. And that kind of goes into play with the TTA air wing. What we were thinking about, I think Snafu and Hamakua brought this up, and it was brought up in another TTA meeting, was having specific wings dedicated to, say, armor or air or infantry or recon, stuff like that. And having the ability to put all the people who wish to fly into an air wing that would be led by like an air marshal or whatever, sky marshal. I don't care what you call it.
Sky marshal.
Sky marshal. Sky captain.
Yeah,
Skywatch.
A CAG. Something like a CAG.
Skywatch.
Red Baron.
Essentially, what the idea that was presented was having say 12, 24 pilots that are really interested in flying for the entire op. and breaking them up into teams of 3. Now, Snafu, did you want to kind of go over this because this is more your idea?
Sure. Basically, end up if we have the appropriate numbers and such, and this is not involving lib teams at the moment. ESFs, I was thinking more or less you have your air and ground ESFs focused, that means rotary and rocket pods. You can have roughly 2 of those along with an air-to-air ESF tagging along with them. The tactic being, as long we can have these groups of 3 working with different outfits as they're maneuvering. The air-to-air ESF pulls security while your 2 air-to-ground vehicles will be constantly pounding the ground, suppressing the enemy, and giving you guys tactical assets where you need it. And at the same time, because the air wing will be a separate entity in itself, when we have 666, as they love to do, they can pull up to 24 fucking aircrafts at once. And we have to be able to counter that. I mean, I was covering for Mercs by myself, and I'm going against 14 fucking Reavers. But at the same time, we could have had air assets up in the northern part of the continent that weren't being engaged at the time.
Received.
So if we can get the air community to at least start working together, we can respond accordingly. So we keep our air assets spread out evenly, supporting everyone together. But when those times come that we need to pull together, we have the air wing, organized already. We can immediately pull assets and engage their air wing and counter it.
Message received.
So, I mean, we talked about this idea of on an operation or two having that everyone sort of joins in sort of like a getting to know you kind of a session where we have like armor all run together from the different outfits and air running all together from the different outfits, and to a lesser extent infantry as well doing the same thing, so that we get to know each other. And I think that would be an ideal way for people to be in communication that way. And it is indeed something we could actually work on in the future, but it's an operation that I'd be really interested to see happening at some point, is just all of us getting together for one operation on a Friday where we're actually working together across outfits and basically increasing our forces across the board that way. Obviously it will take a lot of trust in everyone to do that, but I think we could see some really good things happen if we do that on an operation night.
Question for everybody who's here. We do. Does anybody else run specialized infantry squads? And if so, like, what sort of stuff did you come up with? Because like we run in Total Recall, we run a spec ops squad. And it's basically like really, really tightly organized infantry. All the stuff we talked about in the beginning, and a best case scenario, people are doing it. We're always best case scenario. And so we just have a unit specifically for tasks that require extreme organization. And I'm just curious if anybody else has any specialized infantry squads.
HFA has one.
What do you guys do with
an engineer squad?
It's pretty much exactly what you said. It's that tightly organized, we need to do this, when and where, go and do it, specialized operations. Everybody's on their game, everybody knows what they're doing.
I know Mercenaries does it for sure. I mean, we do it often.
And as Hamako said, Op4 definitely has one too. And CRG had the Bastards, although I haven't seen them operating too much. I'm not sure if they're still up and running.
They do not exist.
Yeah, we had Bastards going, but Titus is on break.
Yeah, okay, so that part of them is currently on leave. So I think most of our groups have like the tighter core that, like a core of people that like to run really, really tight.
If we do an ops night like that, I think it would be very cool to see those groups running together as well, and it's separate from the infantry squad.
And yeah, I think this goes to really to answer a couple of things, right? You have an infantry core of, like some people have drunk ops on Friday night, and you get a lot of the rowdy people all together having their fun doing the versatility in terms of grabbing armor if it's needed, going base to base in general directions, and then you get all the spec ops communicating so that they're doing specific things at certain times.
Brown in right in your channel. Leadership
And
session
then you have the air
server.
and armor divisions doing their own thing, and
Message received.
The ability to split this up as necessary as well, so that we can have
Brown
like 2 armor divisions on any given time on 2 different fronts, and then an air wing that we can command to basically move across the skies as necessary as well. The idea, though, that I want to promote is, again, as TTA, I'm not trying to say that we need to do this all the time, but for specific ops, this might be a good way to have fun and to give a larger scale feeling to all of our outfits. as well as getting all of us to work together, have fun, meet new people, and continue cooperation between us at times that are not operations.
Identified an enemy. I think we need to discuss the serious lack of TR pulling anti-air.
Yeah, there's definitely that. Since the Striker's introduction, I've seen that a lot of people look at the Striker as anti-air, and it just isn't, because a Reaver can do a pass on you. You fire your first missile, wait for him to flare, then you start firing the rest of them. He finally flares, gets out. You've got an 8.5 second relock time. It's just not an AA that you can count on. The best AA that we can pull right now is Burster Maxes. To a lesser extent, Skyguards, but
honestly, I don't think Skyguard's worth using.
The VS right now are farming the whole east coast of Endar with air wings, and no TR pulling AA.
If you're good with the Prowler, you can shoot down the ESFs pretty easily.
What do you guys think of the, mandating anti-air weapons on your Sunders?
To be honest, I wouldn't. Nah, it's okay, but to be honest, you're going to be better served actually pulling AA maxes outside of the Sunder. You don't want to be firing from the Sunder, because that will definitely alert them where you are.
The beauty of anti-air maxes, quite honestly, is they're a single unit, very hard to see, very hard to hit, that do the most damage to air. I mean, you can ask our flyers, Snafu's right here, what unit he most worries about in the air. And it will be the AA max, right, Steph?
Yeah, absolutely. Like right now, your burster max, due to especially the render issues, though they increase the render distance, any medium-sized engagement, an aircraft cannot see the burster max before you render to him. So now you're receiving burster fire.
Message received.
Before the chance you get to see them, and a tactical application they can be placed anywhere on the map. Lock-ons are a joke. They're easy to manipulate. If you know how the ground-air missiles work, you can just simply nose down, hit low altitude, and they're always going to hit the ground. And generally, you want to use flares, and it's easy to avoid.
There's no point. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
There's no point in not pulling Burster Max. You get a free repull at terminal. You can just repull as a mercy if you want to. There's no point in not pulling a max.
Yeah, and definitely this goes to like one of my initial points on the tactics thing, which is assuming nobody will do what needs to be done.
Message received.
Right, like that's a mantra that, we're going to be working together all the time, but you need to tell your members to be the first person to volunteer to do the hard thing, right? Like, some people won't do it, but you want to get that kind of culture going with your players, so that when you're like, oh my god, air wing coming in, we need AA, 3 or 4 people pull out AA immediately, so you don't have to be like, who's going to do it, who's going to do it, who's going to do it. Like, we struggle with it too, but we want to make sure that somebody is doing it, and make sure it's just not us all the time.
For adventures
you need
and
to make
magical
sure
times on the magical
that
school bus.
this is imparted to do during regular gameplay too.
Message received.
What you do, Lepelos, you institute a no-fly zone.
Yes.
Those in TTA will laugh. See, Warbird is already laughing.
Message
there is
received.
a no-fly zone over my head at the moment.
Message received.
Specifically, poverty, Sir Phobos, Noxious, Scourge. Farm us all day. No more. Tell your guys there's nobody flying over your head anymore. If they fly over your head, stop what you're doing, you pull a person back, you shoot them on the sky.
Message
received. Yeah, see, every outfit needs a Jack's Blade.
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of VS players from Helios coming over that love to do that, so we better get in the habit regardless.
Guys, does that mean I can't fly?
I see what you're saying.
Very funny.
Yep.
Funny as hell.
One thing TXR is like a comedy maneuver, but it does work from time to time. Whenever there's a couple litters or science or reavers, we actually have a few guys go back to Warp Gate and pull a Galaxy Wing. And I know they're big and you can see them coming, but we do sometimes take out an entire air wing with a crash or something. They never see it coming.
Galaxy Wrestling works, don't doubt
On the topic, going back to the topic of Galaxy gunships are actually a very effective anti-air, because the enemy sees just this giant Galaxy easy target. If you have your Galaxy well geared, it can really soak up 3 or 4 ESFs, and if you've got competent gunners, you can wreck them pretty easily. just knows up your
engineers sitting on the top of it repairing doesn't hurt
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, I constantly get kills just from ESFs ramming me and they just explode.
But then
yeah,
again,
something else too with a Galaxy gunship is when you're flying level, only your tail gun and maybe one of the side guns can hit the target chasing you. If you nose up while flying straight, both your top gun and your tail gun can hit the rear target. You can focus fire that way.
The way I look at the Galaxy gunship, if you're still on station after your drop, that means that the enemy AA has totally failed. The ability for Liberators and Galaxies to actually be on station and stay on station
Message
means
received.
that the entire air is yours, because they should be blowing the hell out of you. So if you've got a Galaxy gunship that's still up, pull mosquitoes because it's farm time.
Sure.
Message received.
Yeah, when it comes down to lack of AA, it comes down to what's the best farming tool to use to get the job done quick.
Yeah, so to wrap that up, you need to impart on people in general that no one's going to do AA, and everyone's going to lose until that first person volunteers and does it. I mean, it's one thing to do it when we're doing it often. We have, if we're doing an op, and you can tell people what to do, but during after hours play, you want to impart the same kind of feeling, right? Like, the community or our strategies shouldn't change just because the leadership isn't there, and so you need to implement the rules and impart the type of things that people are doing during your leading ship, during the time that you're there to lead, right? Like, you want to get people to react in the same ways and in predictable ways to predictable NC forces. So Chrono, you had a quick question before you go AFK?
Right. It's actually two questions. I'll go with the first one. First one is we definitely did cover this earlier. Where exactly would you guys place the platoon or operation lead in terms of a fight? Because we normally sometimes, for me at least, I'll stay in the back of a Sunder and kind of function as the AA if need be. But I don't know what else you guys do.
It depends. Like, personally, I'm up on the battle. It depends on what's going on. Every group runs differently.
Yeah, no, I usually do it kind of Battlefield 2 style. I don't fight. Fight maybe not at all.
Yeah, guys,
I'm
if you
not
didn't
really
know,
one
we're
to care
actually
about
trying
KD
to
ratio or
back
any of that
up
shit.
material
I got all that out of me.
I thought you guys were all in
in
the
all
same
the other
place
games I've
because
played. So if this Plant has a game where I just want to, just play it to the max. So I have the map up in front of me the whole time watching, and I kind of update squad leaders as I see hexes turn different colors and see things getting attacked and stuff like that. But I also may be outside the sphere of influence. So don't know if anyone has some sort of way of going about that they have their op leaders do.
Let me try and get to you, Taco. I don't know if I can.
Battlefield 2 command style. Or
well, I mean, like during operations time when we have the war map open, like definitely I'm sticking around trying to do Sunder or AA duty. AA
I don't think I get to you, Taco.
Do when you are a commander, because nobody likes to do it, and you're not on station all the time, but you're there providing something, some use at the same time. So that can be very helpful. But personally, there's no recon like your own eyes, right? Like, there's people I trust, but ultimately, if I'm around and I can see what's going on and I'm listening to my guys and know what's going on, I can make better decisions. That's what I feel like.
I would put my vote in for Sunder maintenance. Sitting back and repairing the Sunder is one of those necessary but very boring jobs that doesn't earn you a lot of certs. So, in general, I generally try to take upon the shit jobs and let my soldiers be more effective.
Oh no, me too. That's actually one of my mantras for this game is that I don't know if any of you guys ever really fight on Estimate and Amherst that much, but you'll see me wandering around there kind of trying to pick a fight with the enemy faction, trying to get something going on there, which actually leads me to my next question, but I'll just finish my first question just by saying that, yeah, I do the shit. I like to do the shit jobs and repairing and stuff like that, so when I'm leading an operation, that's kind of what I do. I just stay in the Sun-D and make sure it's repaired and everything like that, all while looking at the map.
My only... Oh, sorry.
Message received.
No, go ahead.
My only thought on that is the only thing I won't do if I'm PL or SL
Hey
is
guys,
I
we're
won't
gonna be
be in a
ninjas.
Libby
Can do
off
Alan
bombing
pass.
somewhere else. I need to be
Message
at
received.
least in the general vicinity of where my guys are, so I can have eyes on the situation. If I'm in the air, obviously I'll be with the air group leading them, or if I'm in armor, leading them. But the only thing I refuse to do if I'm SL or PL is be away from the group in the air. You need to be with them. That's my only thing.
I think it's one of these things. If I can just interrupt, you're going to
Message
find
received.
what you have to do to lead.
Yeah.
Essentially.
That's just my thing.
Message sent.
Yeah.
Message received.
So, I'd say find what you're effective at doing, what helps with your leadership. Sometimes I do have to find, like, if I'm doing... I'll put it this way. I still have memories of PS1 back when I used to CR5 lead there, where I had to sit in a tower and literally type everything, right? Because TeamSpeak wasn't as widely used and orders were actually listened to. So it was literally typing after typing after typing. In that case, it was looking at the map and typing a lot. And, if you have to find a tower to go and do that, then go and do that. But, you find something that you enjoy doing that you can still help your teammates out with and be effective doing it.
Message received.
So that's probably what I'd say about that.
An interesting thing for
Message
leadership,
received.
I think, or at least this is what I've been able to find whenever I've been squad leading during Friday Night Ops, is
Message
with our armor
received.
division, I'll designate one tank to be the command
Message
vehicle,
received.
and I'll usually ride as gunner on it and let someone else do the driving. And by designating a command vehicle, it helps the rest of my unit to orient themselves.
Okay, guys,
They know,
looks like
okay,
we
this
might
is a
have to
command vehicle, I have to
defend
keep
in
it
and
safe, I have to
into your
watch this
storage a little
approach,
bit.
this
Go
approach, and
out
this
and
approach.
get your C4.
And it helps to, keep your forces struggled, or not struggled, organized, structured.
Right. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. I appreciate the input. Also, this isn't really a question so much as a request.
Message
I'm not
received.
sure if it was TRG or Total Recall that did this, but I just want to put in a request because someone
Message
who doesn't
received.
fight or tries not to fight on indoor at
You
all
were coached
costs,
by TX
I'd never really
Arch
fight on there anymore. If you guys can find a way to organize these like kind of big battles between the different outfits, that'd be fantastic. The last time it was between TRG and 666, and Amrish was actually really popping for hours.
That was a beautiful frickin' fight.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll be
TRG.
hosting more events. I have contact with Hama. Me, Lepelos, and I Can Fly have talked about this a couple of days ago. And
Actually, it was yesterday.
Yeah, just yesterday.
My mind's slipping.
You're getting old.
Yeah,
but
why don't you go ahead, and then there's something else I'll have to say on this in a minute.
I'll gladly host more events and contact Hama about it. He is open for events every Friday night.
Yeah, that last Friday night with the 666 was absolutely beautiful on Amrish. I loved it.
Yeah. So, thanks again, Glacier, for setting that up and maintaining contact and helping out with this. And you two, I Can Fly, I'm looking forward to what we have planned. There's two quick things I want to say about this then. Is if you guys don't mind, maybe I'll jump into it. If I can.
Oh, sure, yeah.
All right, yeah. So we're talking about post-server merger
Message received.
with Helios, setting up a giant fight on both Amrish and Esamir, hopefully.
What the
Message
because
sent.
I imagine we can. I imagine it was cont locked. I
Message
imagine
received.
on Friday when you guys did that event, right?
At one point, it was.
If you mean there was a queue, then yes, there was a queue.
So, what we're going to be trying to do is post-server merger, the first Friday night off post-server merger, get PSU coverage of that event, have a TTA versus 666 or NC and ARA, and then versus the VS factions on 2 continents. Basically, and then also, of course, with the Helios equivalents too. So EXE would be hopefully going to participate. I'm talking with them. And I don't know the NC outfits over there that I'm going to try and get in contact with, and then some of the VS from over here and from over there we'll try and work on them to participate in this too, and essentially
Message received.
have all of this
Message
covered.
received.
Yeah, Glacier is working to be
Message received.
to make this happen, and I'm doing my best to contact a lot
Message
of
received.
TR outfits on Helios to make sure we're going to get the numbers to do this on 2 continents. But it's looking good, and I'm sure that the 666 will be happy to be off of Indar again, and I'm sure we'll get a lot of other outfits on NC and the other empires to be off of Indar.
Okay, guys, hop in this Sunday.
Left. How much
Message
longer will this
received.
run? I'd like to stay for all of it, but I'd like to know whether I'd have to leave early or not.
Well, to be honest, I think we should probably call this pretty soon. I mean, we can break off, or people can stay around if we want to have more advanced discussion about tactics, or we can save that for another.
You're
time.
bugged, K-Fresh.
Yeah, DSX. Who was that? DSX. Which DSX person was saying that?
Is there any chance this would be like a regular thing, having officers meeting together like this?
I mean,
Message
it wasn't planned, but we could continue if we want.
Yeah, because I would love to, meet with other armor division commanders, just other leaders in general, and discuss, latest and greatest strategies, tactics, things that we're trying.
Yeah, I'd like to throw this out
Message
there.
received.
I'm all about that Hey Kool-Aid thing, and I would love to stick around and talk some more about
Message
awesome
received.
strategies
Yeah.
like that we all do.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, we
Um,
can.
Before we go, I think we should have a just post discussion about the next event we do with the Helios merge, anyways.
Yeah. So I mean, let me continue on that, and just so everyone knows, I'm in contact with TR outfits on Helios. Some have already actually signed up on TTA forums already, and are interested. Some smaller ones have at least. So they're quite excited about working with the TTA. EXE, I'm in contact with the 2 main leaders from over there, and they seem excited. They're sort of hesitant about having a two continent
Message
fight, but I'm trying
Message
to
received.
like, they're excited about working. They're just not convinced that it will happen on 2 continents. But with EXE being 1,700 people, I think with their support, basically we could probably lock 1 continent and have a huge fight on the 2nd continent too, post server merger. And so
Message received.
I'm really looking forward to the server merger and getting more TTA allies in here, doing exactly what we're doing here now.
Message received.
But before we sort of break down and maybe go for like a 10-minute break, guys, let me just say that I want to continue to support us all working together. I want to see more of you guys and open up the leadership channels to more of your members when they're leading squads to come onto our war room channels on a regular basis. And just, even if it's just letting us know where they are and we're letting you guys know where we are, there's a lot more that we can start to do cross outfit. I can tell you, I miss the days of PS1 where we used to plan and time attacks
Message
across
received.
outfits in order to really surprise enemies, and this is what the TTA is all about. And I think it's great where we are, but I think we can really push it. And I know you guys are excited to do the leadership thing, and I just want to make sure all your leaders are also interested in doing that and have the capability to do it if you guys are not available.
Yep.
Hey, Ledge, you said something about DSX a few minutes ago. Sorry, I missed it. What was it?
Oh, I was just saying, he was suggesting that we break out in rooms next time and have discussions about the different aspects of gameplay.
Oh, okay.
Just a note, just an afterthought about the whole inter-outfit mingling thing. We could have, like, I know TXR and AFX did this once where we actually merged a platoon, 2 squads for each outfit. We could do a thing where, like, we have one inter-outfit platoon, 1 squad per outfit. Just have them all working together.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what I would really love to do, like, we have enough stuff going on all the time, that I think what we could really do is keep our Friday nights ops running as is, and then maybe on a Wednesday night or another night a week, do one of these joint ops across the TTA where we get different people all into like channel together, just having fun on another night where we get to work with each other in a more like a closer setting. So basically, on a Wednesday night, we open up like a infantry, armor, air, and a Black Ops division on the TTA channel, and we get different leaders in each week who take over roles, and just have fun and do it that way. And that way, we're doing different things with TTT. Fuck. TTA at different times of the week.
Teddy!
And I just want to reiterate again on the air wing side of it. 666 has been getting very, very good lately. They have their core pilot group, and there's about 8 or 9 of them that are quality players at this point, and they're starting to utilize actual dogfighting tactics. So we have to start banding together, otherwise, just like the other night on Amherst, they're going to have air superiority, and that cannot be allowed. Otherwise, we will lose these battles. We will not have armor divisions that will get wiped off. So we kind of really got to pull something together on this air wing aspect.
Agreed.
Well, like on Amherst, the one
Message
thing
received.
that was starting to happen was everyone was fighting down below, and then we started losing everything behind us. I mean, they had a pretty big fight going down below in Amherst, and then they had a couple of good-sized platoons also come through behind us, and that's when we started getting pushed all the way back.
Oh no, and that just happens. I'm not talking about them grabbing territory. I'm just meaning fights in general. There's a lot of time the guys, your infantry, should not be being suppressed like that by aircraft. Not acceptable having Liberators and ESF overhead. You know, that's
just hanging out. Yeah.
I mean, HFA did try to pull air, but every time we were about to start pulling air, there would be another enemy platoon making its way down.
And that's what I mean. It's going to take a group effort. I mean, no one outfit, we can't counter the numbers they can put out. So that's why it'll take a group effort of us coordinating to counter this air, and especially with the new outfits coming in for the NC, it's only going to get bigger.
Yeah, I know. And I think a group effort is definitely going.
Message received.
That's only going to work if everyone works together.
One potential that we could eventually do is have all flyers in an air wing on TeamSpeak as a second server, and if a call goes out, that everyone in the air wing can tell their commanders that shit is going down and that they need to respond to a 666 airstrike, and then we band together and do a strike that way. I mean, it's we have this server, and you guys have all your servers, and there's a possibility to organize similar to how we do in the war room, but utilize our air wing, or like an air wing channel in that kind of a way as well, right? That way, your guys are, when they're not needed in the air wing, they're supporting your troops, and then when the air wing is needed, there's a capability, a quick way for people to band together and do that quickly.
Message received.
How does that sound? I mean, that's just a thought I had right now, but it's something we could talk about.
That's a very good start, and it's going to take time and working together and getting comfortable with the aspect of intermingling. And it's not going to be something that's going to happen overnight. It'll take a lot of practice and just us getting used to reaction times and everything else.
So, I mean, maybe what I'll propose then is maybe next Wednesday, instead of doing like a leadership meeting next Wednesday, maybe we should start weekly ops that we do joint op with everyone. It doesn't, we get whatever members we have on and just form up platoons and have fun. And divide them up. Each week we'll rotate commanders in charge, or whoever's ever on can take over. And that way we get to operate together and get to develop larger scale tactics and do some different things. What do you guys think about that?
I do.
Iron Fist would be down.
Cool.
HFA would definitely help.
I'll put it this way, though. I don't want to get into a situation where we're having like one group of people or one outfit determining the course of what everyone else is doing. And I want to make sure that everyone's feeling okay and egos are not getting in the way of our working together. And sometimes things like this could get a little hairy. So let's just make sure that everyone stays calm and realize that when we do this is more for fun, and part of the fun will be for the leaders in being able to control forces of that size, and everyone will get a chance to show what their strategies are and how they organize.
Sounds great.
Cool. All right. So I'll make a post on TTA forums, and I might come to your servers as well. Or if you could come to the TTA forums and copy and paste for me, that saves me a lot of legwork as well.
I know. Liplos, after this, when I get some time, I'm also going to be making a post asking for. Actually, I'll just say this right now. If you guys can, it doesn't need to be long, but I need I need some footage of your gameplay from your outfit. right now I'm thinking between 5 to 30 seconds long clips, so something just really quickly cool, maybe just a quick little, I don't know, Zerg rush
Hey,
of tanks
Pencil.
or aircraft, or just
Just to
maybe
get
a
them
quick
moving.
little pitch, like quick
You
little run
there?
through of how many guys you have in your outfit or something, just something, you know, really quickly.
Yeah, let's just back up quickly. What I really like to see, basically, where this comes from is in promoting the TTA for not only for our own outfits and for the Helios outfits that are coming, but also to gain awareness of the game in general, of other players across servers, across the other factions and the developers. We want a promotional video that basically highlights that we're a series of large, medium, and small outfits that are all working together. So little gameplay clips plus maybe your
Nicholas has
logo,
joined your channel leadership
so that
session
we can
on the
overlay
server.
that into a quick video and get that out there by next week, hopefully prior to the server merger, would be a really great thing to do. So if you can get that to I Can Fly in the next couple of days, that would really, really help out. We've been talking about this, but I really want to push that quickly.
And Talron just poked me with something, but yeah, and that's cool if you guys already have videos and stuff up. I mean,
What's
I know
up?
I like you guys sending me links, but if you guys
I
can
can't hear you,
try
man.
to
I
send
gave
me
him all
the
the
actual
videos
video
today.
files, makes
Oh, you
things a
did?
little
Okay.
bit easier for me. I mean,
Yep.
it takes a while for me to actually
just gave him the
download
link.
videos from YouTube.
So
Email it to you, or
Yes, I'll
Well,
put down my email, but you
Which
can also
videos you
reach
give 'em
me
the whole
on the,
thing?
uh,
You give them all the
TTA
Spec
forums.
Ops, the,
Okay,
Yeah,
that works.
the
and make a
Skywatch,
post about the format and all the details of what you
a
need.
couple of
Yes,
your
I will do that
videos
tonight.
with Spec
Thank
Ops,
you. And then everyone
um,
should be able to
like
go
the one you
and
just
find
recently
that and,
recorded
make
with
sure
Patty's
that they're
speech.
communicating
And
with them.
Okay, sweet.
Because I would really like to make sure that this happens if you guys want to be in on this video. In fact, I Can Fly, I would say we take who we can, or we take what we have by the end of this week and just put it into the video and then add in what we can after the fact.
I can also add in pictures and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. For
film.
outfits that don't get video, yeah.
What I was thinking about doing was doing a quick, you know, maybe 5 to 10 minute video, depending on how many outfits and me stuff, but doing somewhere that long video, and it's just going to be more of a quick commercial for the TTA, just to show that we have something there. And then I was thinking about going through and either each week
Pencil, are you there?
maybe every couple weeks, more or less, to go in and get more specific footage of that particular outfit.
We're still in the officer thing, so it's kind of hard to hear you guys over all this.
About maybe every 2 to 3
Oh,
weeks,
okay.
upload a
Because
video.
I had to head out
for
soon,
the
so I
TTA.
want to know if anybody else
So
wanted
basically
to
spots
platoon
of
me.
different outfits.
Yeah, spotlighting each outfit.
KOTR, Trotsky
Yeah,
left
this
your
is
channel.
sort of giving
Switch to
member
TTA.
outfits
Main chat, we are
recruitment
Connery
tools,
on the
to say
server.
we're part of the TTA, but this is who we are.
KOTR,
And hopefully,
Trotsky
you know,
joined your
giving
channel
member
leadership
outfits,
session on the
you know,
server.
the opportunity of like more videos to be like, you know, to potential members being like, hey, this is who we are. And you guys can participate in that as you guys want to, but you know, it's something that I'd like to see the TTA do. I want to make sure that I don't really have an agenda except for to make sure all of us are working together and everyone's pretty happy and people want to work with us. That's what the agenda
Hey,
that we're
Tron,
trying
that
to
was
push in
you who
TTA
said
is.
they wanted the platoon lead, right?
So if you help
No, I do not. I was just saying it's hard to hear you.
that would be great.
And sometimes
I have a
control
video for you,
voices
Fly.
over.
Oh yeah. Well, I can get. From
The only reason I can hear you right now is because I have you guys set at different volumes, so I can kind of sort of hear Platoon chat, but I
Is
just
there
barely.
Anything else I can fly?
Oh, I was just real quick. Like, where exactly do you want me to post the?
In communications.
Okay.
And I might make that a news item too, so it'll appear on the front page as well. In any case, guys, I think we should probably end this meeting now. I'll make a post about setting up weekly operations on Wednesday for open operations joint divisions, and we can start getting involved in that starting next week. And I'd probably propose the same time on a Wednesday night, 6:30. Keep it to like a couple of hours, and just continue to ask you guys that you guys try and join up on our server into the war room when you guys are online during regular play. I'd love to work out with you guys more often. You know, even if it's to set up for one base a night to be like, hey, what are you guys doing? You know, we'll look after this sub base if you go for main base. Things like that. I would love to be able to do that with people on a more regular basis.
But whenever I'm on from now on, I'll make sure I'm in the war room.
Thank you.
So,
Me as well.
so quick thing to add here. So next Wednesday, we're gonna do a green light and do public platoon for all outfits.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. Well, your server. What if we get more than 4 squads? Can we just keep it up? Like get Foxtrot, Echo, going on, and then maybe starting like a second platoon as well. For those 48 people after the 48 come in.
Yeah, we can set up as many channels. We have a 512 member server, so yeah, I think we'll be capable enough to handle the load.
And the format would be just use channel command, and then somebody would just be leading the platoon, and we could just switch it for our next Wednesday, like get a designated person maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
Since you guys are hosting it, perhaps one of you guys from Mercs could lead it, and then maybe next Wednesday someone else can.
Yeah, that's right. You know, just making sure that everyone gets a turn doing something like this and keeping it fun. That's what I want to make sure that we do. So I don't want people's egos or how they do things differently to get in the way of these, and we need to make sure that doesn't happen. We have to realize that when we're doing this, we're doing something that's different.
And in the context of fun as well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like that we're not necessarily going to agree with how things are run in different people's outfits, and and again, this is going to be something that if you want to participate, you come. If you don't want to participate or you disagree, you can leave, right? And if it ever becomes an issue, I will ask people to not come on ops if they're causing drama from a leadership standpoint, because to me that's not what I want. I'm about us coordinating and working together. I'm not about creating divisiveness in leadership through disagreements of playstyle and disagreements in decisions.
In that note, Leplos, do we want to, as kind of a poor man's war room for, like a public platoon or whatnot, do we want to create, like an outreach,
like a open command channel during regular?
Well, we can use the user-defined chat channel, where you join a voice channel. Do we want to create something like that?
Sorry, you can use what do you mean a user?
You can actually define for keypad, numpad 6, and it's like /join chat channel name and then a password. And I was thinking we could either do that as like an outreach for a public channel, or even as like a poor man's war room while we're all in game, and maybe some people aren't in war room, and use it in lieu of command chat.
And so people, that's what the war room was. Maybe me and you need to discuss this shortly after.
Yeah,
in terms of the setup, because I am not well versed in the options of TS.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not meaning it as a replacement for a war room, but handing it out to like AFX and people like that.
Oh, I would love to get AFX in here for sure, and
yeah,
but and the leadership from 56 RD and SWAT, but I've outreached to them in the past, and they've semi-worked out with us, but they mainly stay in game. I don't know AFX I think they have their own server, but it's being difficult.
They don't use TeamSpeak.
Yeah, that's why I was saying we could do this in game.
Yeah, they use a Dolby something or other.
Yeah, I'll talk to you afterwards.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, the Dolby one that they do use. In any case, so thank you guys for coming out. I think that was your participation, your help is definitely something that I'm looking forward to, or like it's been great tonight, and I'm really looking forward to working with you all more.
Message received.
Yeah, and once again, thank you, Lepelos, for throwing this together. You're really a very positive force on the TR side, and we're glad to have you.
Thank you very much.
I'm really excited though. I just really want to see us working together. That's what I can say. I'm really excited about it. So
let's all put our hands in the middle, guys. Come on.
Yeah, hands in the middle, everyone, right now.
Go Team Venture!
Indoor warp gate for hands in the middle.
If anybody does want to stick around, I know myself and a couple of us other TXR guys would love to discuss some like specific, awesome, in-depth kind of tactics.
Oh, yeah,
in the same vein as this Hey Kool-Aid thing, because
but guys, don't forget.
Squad
We do
deploying.
something similar.
It's
Don't
fantastic.
forget, we have the VR training room too, so I mean, we can kind of go through and you can demonstrate these tactics.
I would love it if when we do these officer group up things that we just grouped up in the VR training room and got a hands-on experience with some of these ideas we're talking about.
Or if we had like one
outside on the
outfit
server.
per evening, do a brief training session and their
Like
favorite
do like a
techniques.
half an hour.
Get
half an hour to
zero
an hour.
recoil.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. On TXR, we have a Thursdays as Indoctrination Thursdays.
Tuesday.
Oh,
No,
never mind.
it's Thursday.
No, it's Thursday.
Yeah, where we learn about our specialty divisions.
You said
and-
zero
Trade
recoil. Like,
Trade
what
Tuesday
now?
would be good too.
That was Billy's. Anyway, look, clear comms. Anyway, we could do this with how Pencil said we could like have an outfit sponsor its main tactic. You know, that it's ace in the hole. Have like observers just watch how it works.
Message received.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely for sharing the tactics as well on the larger scale map. Definitely, like in terms of how things are run. Show you some tricks that can really speed things up or make a difference. And it's something that, as you guys said, definitely we shouldn't get too far ahead of us. Like I'm sure all of us can talk for hours, and you guys and late at night. Seriously, you guys should just. If you're on late at night, don't have many guys, like come by. We have a squad usually, and we just talk. Well, we talk shit, and then we also talk tactics. And we love to do that. I mean, we start to see Hammer and Nantucket more often these days, and it's a lot of fun.
In your channel leadership session timed out from the server.
But yeah, we could certainly do this on more occasions too.
Message received.
And I would really love if somebody else wants to start to plan on like nights or times to do some of these too. I would definitely look forward to someone setting up a date and times for when they want to run like a half hour or an hour session on what they do.
For TXR, we do it, what is it, 7 Pacific time is usually when we start our Indoctrination Thursday kind of events. So we
5:30.
5:30? Oh,
That's
sorry.
when we started,
I'm
yeah.
thinking I'm on the East Coast. But yeah, so if you guys want to stop by in our team speak around 5:30 Pacific, every Thursday one of our divisions takes the reins and kind of does training in all of their best tanker tactics or Skywatch or Spec Ops. Or
Let's get everybody to link up over at the platoon
So we could
waypoint.
make that a weekly Thursday event if you want, where we post that on the TTA forums.
Yeah, I'd be happy to have our
interested.
guys get indoctrinated in somebody else's tank squad. I mean, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Oh boy, I can already imagine the Kool-Aid jokes.
Dude, we are renaming. We call it Gate.
Once we have that in
and it's like Talon's
check, then
favorite
we'll
thing in the
head up
universe,
for
and
Zerg station.
I'm pushing for us to officially rename it Hey Kool-Aid because that's just such an infinitely.
No,
better
we
name.
called it Trojan Horse, but Hey Kool-Aid is a lot cooler.
Hey Kool-Aid is so much better.
Hey Kool-Aid is trademarked. You can't.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's all right.
Oh, because we have some cool name
great
tactics
flavor.
too, but we'll share. Come
I
on.
thought
We
we
do?
called it
Oh.
Operation Flintstone.
Yeah, fucking troll and roll is like that's my baby right there.
All right, quick.
Oh,
Also, there was a question.
Oh, no, it wasn't a question. It was actually me letting you know. We did, HFA did change over to a new TeamSpeak host. I put that in the
Great, yeah,
chat
I'll update that too. I haven't heard from anyone from Seoul Navy recently either, and I don't know where they've been. So it's been unfortunate.
Yeah, I haven't heard anyone from SWAT or 56RD either.
I see some of them on here occasionally from 56RD, but I don't know. The pub open groups seem difficult to corral to work with on a larger scale.
Which kind of makes sense, honestly.
Yeah, it does, but you know what we need to keep, because I think what we need to be able to do is we can't assume that they're going to want to join us unless we show a level of excitement to our larger scale events, and then we can draw people into that. So what we should do, since we're all of this type, is to continue to have a lot of fun in our organization, and maybe at least for the larger events, these groups will want to participate on that level too.
Yeah.
Message received.
So
Hey,
yeah,
I just want to say thanks for the invite too. It's D-Nuts from Dark Skies, but yeah, we'd definitely like to attend again.
Yeah, you bet. I mean, it's good working with you guys, and as I said, I'm gonna try and get a training video or a video that you can pass along to all commanders for the war room in terms of how to set up TeamSpeak to be able to use on 2 servers at
Message
once.
received.
So we don't have to go through that with everyone. We can just direct them to the video, and then
Yeah,
all
that
you
would
have to
definitely
do
help.
is
Hit Oblivion, but she was running like 4 different TeamSpeaks at once or
Sprout
something the other
entered
Friday.
your channel leadership session
yeah,
on
but
the server.
if there's that you should post that link of the crossfire, was it, or crosstalk? Sorry,
Crosstalk.
Yeah, if someone could post that in the TTA forums, main forums about that, and I would absolutely love if anyone could help with setting up a video tutorial for that.
Message received.
As well, because that would be very, very helpful in getting people using it. The easier we make it for people to work together, the more strategic we can be, and the better leading we can be.
Message sent.
Well, good night, guys.
Message received.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks.
I also,
Take care.
on a parting note, I wanted to reiterate what I said earlier, that I noticed a lot of platoon leaders don't really listen.
Alright guys, after Zerban Amp Station, be prepared. Meet up at the platoon waypoint. We're gonna hit Gravel Pass. There's an enemy platoon there.
Without members, there would be no outfit, and
So,
they
move out
often
together.
provide very valuable intel. So listen to your infantry. They may know better. You know, you could be sidetracked, whatever, looking at the map.
Message received.
So without them and their help,
Message
you know, there really
received.
would be no platoon to lead.
Message sent. Message received.
Definitely, that's something I try and do as well. There's times I make people
Message
do things
received.
that they don't want to do, but
Yeah, we make people cry regularly.
Message received.
That's part of the
Absolutely.
initiation
Only total.
process, actually.
Reference to something that doesn't hear.
We have officially kind of had this discussion amongst TXR, because there are some commanders, like myself, I totally don't know what's going on at all times on the map, and I'm happy to have input from people, and some commanders find it very distracting, and like they do have very good awareness of what's going on the map, and so that input from people can like distract and disrupt them from leading. So I think it has to do, I mean, I think each individual leader should kind of establish,
If they're competent enough, they're not going to need someone
Message
whispering in their ear 30 seconds about shit going on. They'll be on the battlefield and making that call. It's just if they want. It's a personal call for whoever's platoon or squad leading, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Message received.
Just to answer Chrono's question, yeah, we're done. I'm gonna go AFK, guys, for about 10 minutes, grab some food, and then if you guys want to talk about
Message
specific
received.
strategies, 190.